Hello everyone, Jacob here. In today's lesson, we're going to be talking about this structure up here to think of A as B. All right, and in Korean, this generally translates to A를 B로 생각하다. So we use this, just like in Korean, to talk about how you think of something in a little bit of a different way. All right, and before we get started, I just want to show you all the different combinations that you can put here instead of A and B. So the first one is just putting a noun, okay? And you could put a noun here or here, all right? So you can put two nouns here. What else? You could also put an adjective right here, okay? So you could put a noun and then an adjective. What else? You could also put an adjective followed by a noun if you want, and that is possible as well. So all of these possibilities are fine, okay? Another thing that you can put here, though, is an ing verb, all right? So this kind of shows you all of the different combinations that are possible. You could do any of these and it would be okay. All right, so let's go ahead and look at our first example, which is very, very straightforward and a very common sentence. So, it's probably good to just memorize this sentence. I think of you as a friend. I think of you as a friend, which in Korean means 너를 친구로 생각해요. Okay, so we use this maybe if someone likes you, if someone likes you and you don't really like them, kind of in a romantic way, you can say this. Well, I like you, but I think of you as a friend. All right. Here we are using it with a noun and then another noun. So it's this first combination up here. And before we look at the other combinations, I just want to talk about this sentence a little bit and kind of another translation maybe that it will have depending on the situation. I know in Korean you guys often say like 여자로 볼 수 없다 or 여자로 생각할 수 없다, or if you're a girl you could say 남자로 생각할 수 없다. And in this case, I wouldn't say like I don't think of you as a man. We don't say that in English. We don't use this kind of as an expression. We will probably actually just say this sentence. We will just say, I think of you as a friend. Okay? So this sentence, is very useful, not only when you want to say 친구로 생각하다, but also if you kind of want to say, 남자로 볼 수 없다 or, 여자로 볼 수 없다. Okay? I guess you could also say like, I don't think of you as boyfriend material. That's possible too. I don't think of you as girlfriend material. That is possible, but I think most of the time we'll probably just say this. I think of you as a friend. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and look at some of the other combinations that are possible. Many Koreans think of America. Many Americans think of America as dangerous. So what does this mean in Korean? This basically means 많은 한국 사람은 미국이 위험하다고 생각해요. So in this case, actually the translation won't even be A를 B로 생각하다. It would be more like 뭐뭐 하다고 생각하다. But it's the same idea. All right. And the reason the translation is different is because we have an adjective here. So we have a noun in the first part and then an adjective in the second part. All right. And actually you could put an adjective followed by a noun. So in this case, you could say, many Koreans think of America as a dangerous country. Many Koreans think of America as a dangerous country. So here we have an adjective followed by a noun. And that is our third kind of combination in this case up here. So let's go ahead and look at our last example with an ing verb. All right. Like I said, many Koreans think of America as dangerous, and I think the reason most Koreans think this is just that Americans have guns, or some Americans have guns. Not all of them. I don't personally have a gun, but a lot of Americans have guns, and so a lot of Koreans think that America is dangerous. But the reason that Americans have guns is that Americans, not all Americans, but most Americans think of having guns as a right. Okay, it's in the Constitution. It says we can have guns. You know, Americans can have guns. It says this in the Constitution of the United States. So, you know, Americans think of having guns as a right. So here we're making a sentence where we're using think of with an ing verb. All right. So here it's an ing verb, and then in the next part, it's a noun. And I could keep going. I could give you kind of all the different combinations, but I think you kind of understand. You get the point. So I think those are 3 good examples to kind of figure out how to use this structure up here. Think of A as B. All right, but before we go, I just want to talk about some other words that you can put here instead of think of. Instead of think of, you can also just say to see A as B. So in all of these sentences, you can change think of and you can put see. I see you as a friend. Many Koreans see America as dangerous. Americans see having guns as a right. All right, so that's all possible. You could also put consider. Consider is also a possibility. All right, so again, in all of these sentences, you can change think of to consider. I consider you as a friend. But to be honest, when you're using it with consider, often we don't say as. We will leave out as. So you could just say, I consider you a friend. No as. Many Koreans consider America dangerous. Again, no as. I personally think it sounds a little bit more natural without as, no as. Americans consider, let me just go down a little bit. Americans consider having guns a right. All right, so just keep that in mind that often you will see, consider kind of used in this structure without the as, just to consider A, B. All right, and then there is one last one, but to be honest, I never use this one because it's very formal. So I'm just gonna not really recommend using it. I'm gonna cross it out. I'm writing it, but I'm crossing it out because it's just not really that useful, and it doesn't really sound natural. It sounds too formal. I regard you as a friend just sounds too formal, so I don't recommend it. All right, so I hope you understood the lesson. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.